Chair recognizes the gentleman from Oldham, 59.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Comment on the bill. As we have been dealing with the historical horse racing bills, entertaining discussion on both sides of the issue, a couple of things were brought to the attention that I felt like were reasonable to within our purview to do. The first was in the committee sub that the gentleman from Fayette just offered, which was the Executive Branch Ethics Commission. That was actually supposed to have been done in the Senate. There was some wording problems with that, and it didn't get done, so we put it on this charitable gaming bill here in the House. The other thing that I've heard a number of times is the need and importance of redoing the state's parimutuel tax code. And that's actually something that is of particular interest to me, and something that the former gentleman from Jefferson 46, Speaker Pro Tem Larry Clark, and I worked on for several years to reform our tax code that was basically written in 1931 and has had little done to it since then, other than continuing to add nonsensical things in many fashions to it. And so that was particularly appealing to me. There was some concern that we weren't addressing it in this bill. I think that everybody knows that or in the historical horse racing bill, I think everybody knows that there needs to be some modification in the taxes. But given that that was a Senate bill, we couldn't put a tax measure in that bill. So I came up with the idea of tying it to the advanced deposit wagering platform, which is currently in law, and would just simply increase the tax. The current tax rate on that is 0.5% on all amounts wagered. The initial amendment that I filed, which is House Floor Amendment 1, is, yes, House Floor Amendment 1, increases to 0.75% from 0.5%. That seemed like a pretty dramatic increase. It was a 50% increase. But when I got the numbers on that last night, the numbers didn't seem to be quite compelling enough maybe to motivate somebody to come to the table. So I filed House Floor Amendment 3, which will move that amount from 0.5% to 1.5%. So it's a tripling of the rate. And did not have that filed yesterday, so it will require a suspension of the rules to hear House Floor Amendment 3. And so therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a motion that we suspend the rules for the purpose of allowing the body to consider House Floor Amendment 3, and that amendment is pushed to the screens.
Motion made for the suspension of the rules to hear House Floor Amendment 3, did you say, gentlemen? For House Floor Amendment 3. It is non-debatable. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Gentleman from Oldham.
Thank you, gentlemen. I've already explained the amendment, and so therefore, Mr. Speaker, I would move passage of House Floor Amendment 3.
Question for the body is on passage of House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any debate or discussion? Gentleman from Todd, do you need to speak on the amendment or the bill? Is there any debate or discussion? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson 36.
Would the gentleman entertain a question?
He will yield.
Could you put an annual dollar value on this amendment in terms of revenue for the state?
It's roughly $6 million. It's roughly $6 million. The reason that this is I think a significantly larger motivating amount is that the entire country bases their ADW tax rates as a benchmark of Kentucky. Up until 2014, when Larry Clark and I got the first 0.5% on ADW, it was the entire country was taxing at zero. And when we got it raised to 0.5%, it did prompt every other state to raise theirs as well. So that's really yes, it's additional revenue, but it's also an additional motivating factor. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, apologize. I need to report the floor amendment.
Gentleman from, or Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 3 to House Bill 226.
Now move passage.
Motion made and seconded for the adoption of House Floor Amendment 3. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Question for the body is on passage of House Bill 226 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any further debate or discussion? Chair recognizes the gentleman from Laurel, 90.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield to a question?
He will yield.
Gentleman from Fayette, you being the director of plant operations for Fayette County School Systems, how are the roads out there?
Gentleman from Fayette.
The roads are excellent.
Gentleman from Laurel.
To another question.
He will yield.
Gentleman from Fayette, you know, this bill dealing with charitable gaming, we talk a lot in this state, our great Commonwealth, about our horse racing industry. And of course, you know, Fayette County is the home of many great horse farms, and we got Kentucky Derby winners. A lot to be proud of there. But, you know, one thing that I always found interesting was the amount of limestone that's in Kentucky. I mean, it gave us the Mammoth Cave system, which is amazing. But as far as limestone goes and how it pertains to horses, can you kind of speak on some of the benefits limestone has as it relates to the horses, the great horses that we raise and breed here in the great state of Kentucky? Gentleman from Bourbon might be able to help you out too if you need any help on that one.
Gentleman from Fayette.
This is an excellent question, and I really appreciate it. Geology is a side hobby of mine, and I actually wrote my master's thesis on the karst landscape of the Bluegrass region. I would like to use this opportunity to identify a lot of the key highlights of that master's thesis at this point. I will warn this body that we could go into the neighborhood of 2 to 3 hours, and you all know that that's with me not even sweating. So I would like to ask the representative if he would like to retract his question.
Gentleman from Laurel.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to apologize to the body, and I won't do that, and I feel educated today. Thank you.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Crittenden, 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a hard act to follow. I do have a question, though, about the floor amendment. If the gentleman from Oldham would yield.
He will yield.
Gentlemen, as I read this, the bill no longer applies just to 2020. Am I reading that correctly?
Gentleman from Oldham.
This bill is prospective, and it goes into effect at such time that we do not pass another tax reform bill prior to July 1 of 2022.
Gentleman from Crittenden.
Thank you.
Question for the body is on passage of House Bill 226 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 3. Is there any further debate or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, sound the chimes. We'll now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by voting yea on the roll call machine. Those opposed, nay, and the roll call machine is open for your voting. Have all members voted? Would any member like to change or explain their vote? Have all members voted? Clerk will take the roll. There being 73 members voting yea, 15 members voting nay, House Bill 226, as amended by House Committee Substitute 1 and House Floor Amendment 3, has passed. Gentleman from Fayette.
Mr. Speaker, at this time, I'd like the clerk to please report House Floor Amendment 2, the title.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Floor Amendment 2, the title amendment to House Bill 226.
Gentleman from Fayette.
Move for adoption.
Without objection. Floor amendment is adopted. Gentleman from Fayette.
I move for clincher.
Without objection, clincher is applied.